Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. In today's video, we're gonna be considering the Congregation Bible Study for the week of March 24th to 30th, 2025. We're considering some interesting and instructive lessons from the Apostle Paul, and now he's before Felix, and that changed everything. It looks like everything is against Paul, but we learn some lessons about the way he is presenting his defense. Okay, now this week we're considering chapter 24, paragraph 7 to 12, and backs on page 193. 7 and 8 read the question: what arrangements did Claudius Lysias make for Paul's safety? And immediately, as soon as he found out that they were planning to kill Paul, he ordered 47 soldiers, spearmen, and horsemen to leave Jerusalem that same night and take Paul to Caesarea to set up Roman government in Judea. There they could leave him safe and sound in the hands of Governor Felix. And we notice that additionally, Lysias sent a letter to Felix outlining the case. He mentioned that on learning that Paul was a Roman citizen, he had rescued Paul when he was about to be killed by the Jews, and Lysias stated that he didn't find Paul guilty of anything deserving of death or prison bonds. Okay, apparently this is right, he's right apparently, but he's not writing all the facts, all the things about all the things he did to Paul, and he's keeping some information. This is interesting, and we learn some interesting lessons from this account. For example, okay, we notice that Claudius Lysias moved quickly and wisely to protect Paul from his enemies. As Christians, we must react promptly and with alertness in situations. And this teaches us to respect laws and authorities, trusting that Jehovah can even use human systems to fulfill his purposes. As Christians, we must be responsible citizens and respecting laws and cooperating with authorities when necessary. We notice that Claudius Lysias was not a Christian, and although he was not a Christian, Jehovah used him to protect Paul in some way and ensure his testimony reached Caesarea. We should not underestimate people who seem outside the faith, outside the congregation. If we think the help just come from fellow believers, that won't happen. Many times Jehovah may use non-fellow believers to help us in some situations. God can use them in surprising ways, especially in these areas, in these high positions of authority. Lysias recognized that Paul was not guilty of any crime deserving death or imprisonment. He didn't support injustice against Paul or falsely accuse him. We, even more so, should not support injustices or false accusations against anyone. That's a very common situation today. Have you ever been in a situation like that? Someone is accusing you, falsely accusing you of something? That's very common today. Someone has falsely accused you of something you never did. Okay, in that case, you understand how Paul felt. And Okay, now 9, question A. How were Paul's rights as a Roman citizen violated? Okay, and this is about the letter Lysias had written. He really had not come to Paul's rescue because he found out that the apostle was a Roman citizen. Additionally, Lysias failed to mention that he had Paul bound with 2 chains and had later given the order that he be interrogated under scourging. He didn't mention these details, and of course, before they scourged Paul, he mentioned that he was a Roman citizen and they stopped. So that's information he didn't mention, and that changed everything, of course. Question B. Why might we take advantage of our rights as citizens of a country? Because today the ruler of this system uses the religious fanaticism of opposers to fan the flames of persecution, and we shouldn't ignore our rights because there are some rights abuse, and we may find our civil liberties violated. But like Paul, God's people can often take advantage of the rights accorded them as citizens of a country and seek protection under the law. But on the other hand, if we ignore our rights, we won't be able to know if someone is violating our rights. So every country has different laws, different rights, and of course different legislations. But it's important to take a look of our rights. Of course, rights and obligations. Okay, the next one says, I rarely speak in my own defense. Okay, number 10 question. What serious accusations were leveled against Paul? Tertullus, first of all, praised Felix for what he was doing for the Jews, and evidently to flatter him and gain his favor. This is very common today. Then, getting to the matter at hand, Tertullus referred to Paul as a pest, a plague. That's an insult, and stirring up seditions among all the Jews throughout the inhabited earth, and he's a spearhead of the sect of the Nazarenes. He also tried to profane the temple, so we seized him. The other Jews joined in the attack, asserting that these things were true. So very serious accusations against Paul. And this is very important. We learn some lessons from it. For example, flattery, how we consider flattery in the congregation. We must avoid flattery and manipulation in our relationships. Paul was falsely accused of being a troublemaker and a desecrator. This reminds us that as Christians, is very common. We may face slander, misunderstandings, or false accusations, even persecution for our faith. Now, when we take a look at this account, we notice that were no Romans accusing Paul, but were religious people of his religion who were accusing Paul falsely, and this makes us think that we expect false accusations, misunderstandings from non fellow believers, but we will be in shock. It blew our mind when we notice. It blew our mind when we notice that some fellow believers, they are falsely accusing us, or they are provoking these misunderstandings or false accusations against us. Well, in some way that was happened to the apostle Paul, and of course that's not fair enough, and that happens. Okay, we should not be surprised that if we are misunderstood or criticized for our faith, for following Christ. Of course, Jesus warned that the world hated him and will also hate us. That's very important to understand that things happened today and we must be alert. 11 and 12. How did Paul refute the charges against him? Okay, with a kind and firm attitude, Paul defended himself by denying the accusations, affirming his integrity, acknowledging his faith, and he was referring some good actions he did in favor of others, and challenging his accusers to present concrete evidence against him. It was nothing more than their word and prejudice against Paul, who was clearly innocent and a victim of their false accusations. Some lessons we learn from this account: when we face accusations or criticism, we should respond with an open and respectful attitude, avoiding aggression. When we are falsely accused, it's important to deny the accusations clearly and firmly. Paul's good deeds of helping others supported his defense. It's helpful to present concrete facts that back up our position. This helps refute false accusations. And when facing baseless accusations, it's valid to ask for concrete evidence and challenge those who accuse us to substantiate their claims. This can expose their intentions and the lack of basis in their arguments or accusations. So, this is not the typical study that this is bad, this is good, we read Bible, etc. We notice this is another area where when Paul is like a lawyer defending himself before his enemies in a legal area. So that's a very common argument that anybody is innocent until proven guilty. And of course, an accusation is not a proof of guilty. It's just an accusation. And if they don't have any proofs, any evidence, that accusation is nothing. Of course, we'll see the next week what was the result of his defense. Okay, friends, that's a wrap for this video. Thank you so much for joining us in this consideration. If you like this information, this video, please, you could support us by subscribe to our channel and like this video. Okay, have a good day and hope to see you in our next video.